5 o'clock?
Logged in.
I have them, get them logged in. Okay, well, I'll call the meeting of the Green Bay Economic Development Authority to order. Roll call, Sikich is here, Vice Chairman is vacant, Alderman Johnson. Here. Pam Parrish.
Here.
Mohammed is excused, Michael Peot. Here. And John Kelworth. Here. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Parrish, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Peot, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried. And I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our June 3rd meeting. Moved by Johnson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Parrish, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Regular business, consideration with possible action regarding the posting of a RFP, request for proposal for the Community Development Investment Grant Program.
I'll take that one. So each year, the City of Green Bay seeks out shovel-ready projects that meet the requirements laid out by Wisconsin Economic Development Corp. for the Community Development Investment Grant. This program supports urban, small city, and rural community development efforts by providing financial incentives for these shovel-ready projects with emphasis on, but not limited to, downtown community efforts. Funding activities should lead to measurable benefits and job opportunities, property values, and or other leveraged investment by local and private partners. The project must be located within the City of Green Bay city limits and follow the requirements laid out by the city and by WEDC. So this is a program that's offered by WEDC. The city works as they, we pick one project to get behind and recommend, and then it may or may not get chosen depending on their funding resources. But this would be something that we would like to find out, what other projects in the community are out there, or what projects are out there. Is there something that we don't know about, or are there other projects that we do know about, or just are in need of some kind of financing to help with the threshold of that project? And so the staff is recommending taking a look at approving and posting the RFP to the Community Investment Grant, and then we would bring the applicants back to the committee who would make a recommendation. Questions on that?
Just a couple.
What?
One is really just a grammatical thing, very easy.
Okay.
Page 2, under C, eligible requirements. It says the applicants would need to, following the below criteria, following in
Yeah,
different
follow.
intents.
Let's see, page 2, I'm sorry, I missed that. Need to follow here.
Okay, what is the funding cycle on this? I mean, we say shovel ready, but what is like the WDC funding cycle in terms of when a shovel needs to be in the ground?
So the grant application comes available each July so far in the current cycle that we're working with. I don't know how budgets and things like that will move forward, but right now what we're working with is that it comes available starting July of each year. And then they want to really make sure that this project is going to happen. So they don't want to be able to, the project has to be pretty well ready, queued up and teed up and ready to go forward. So they want to be part of something that's actually going to happen. If they award it and then it doesn't happen, I think it would, that just isn't something that they're gonna, or even that it's even partially started or something in the process, maybe it's a one or second phase of something, but they would like it to be a very guaranteed project.
If my recollection is correct, it's basically one project per community per year?
Yes.
Okay, and is that?
And we can recommend.
Right.
It may not get chosen, but we can recommend for this funding. Yeah.
Okay, and is that, it is per year, not per biennium?
I think it's per year that we can recommend one.
Okay, because I would imagine, I mean, with the state budget, they just approve like an equitable amount of funds for each year in the biennium budget.
I believe there's like $7 million allocated for this program annually.
Okay.
At least that's what the previous amount had been that we were working with. I don't know if any of those have changed, but that was a number that we had previously understood.
Okay.
And there's no specific target area, it's anywhere within the city, is that pretty much it?
Well, they would like to see downtown development in communities, just because they know that that spurs
Oh.
other development
Okay.
in particular, but it could be, it would consider something that is not,
In the down.
I think it's weighted, if it's a downtown development, it's probably
Okay.
weighted a little bit better in the scoring process
I
for this
see.
grant, but
Okay.
it could be recommended for other areas.
Mhm.
But that's just an assumption. They do call that out in their guidelines online when you look
Okay.
at them.
Do you have past examples of Green Bay recipients?
We have had the Hotel Northland receive one a couple of years ago.
Okay. Is that the only one that kind of comes to mind for you?
It is, I've been here for 5 years, and that's the only one that I know of. I could have done more history on that and probably looked into that with maybe the few,
No, it's okay, I was just curious.
But I know that
Yeah.
the Hotel Northland was something that fit into the criteria because it fit into mixed, or development downtown, it mixed it, it was historical, it had many of the components that would be weighted in a grant cycle like this. Do you know of any others that you say?
No, we've had some other projects get other WEDC grants, and generally, when they get those, they don't double dip with the programs.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's, Wendy's right, the only one to my knowledge of has come out of that program here.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Do we do this every year, this RFP?
This is something new.
Yeah, this is
First time I've
new.
seen it.
I think it's one of the things that we want to, be cognizant of, if there's applications out there in the community, to have them come to us. Normally they're, we haven't had one, really that's fit the mold, but, I think in terms of providing a conduit, as Wendy said, we only really get to support one at a time. So if we call out there, if there's a project that's ready, willing to go, probably we felt this was the best vehicle to do it through the EDA. So we'll do it now, and then depending when grant cycle comes through, we'll likely do it again in the future.
Anything else?
And it seemed to work with Hotel Northland. It seems like, were there any issues that you encountered?
Well, the hotel itself took.
Yeah.
No, but in terms of just, receiving the funds on the back end, it's a back end reimbursement. You just basically show like, look, we've met our eligible expenses, and they put it back in the end. And I think it's pretty clear here that most of these grants are like that. So should we've done the funds so you can make the match, and the check will be cut.
And our application process is pretty well matched with the DEC application. So we get our arms around the project and understand what it is, what the impact would be, and be able to find the project with the largest impact for the community. There's probably things out there we're just not aware of. People are working on projects that we just don't know of. So this is a good way to find out what kind of things we can get behind and be comfortable on.
Is there a job creation component with this?
That is one of the weighted items. It's not a ratio per se or anything like that, like some of the other programs that you're probably aware of. But that is one of the scoring criteria that they can use.
Well, and I'm just thinking in particular, like if you had a housing development, for example, doesn't necessarily create jobs, although I suppose it could, right, a manager or something, but, would that be ineligible?
That is an eligible item because it's providing a community need that potentially is identified somewhere else as far as being a gap.
Okay.
Yeah, so if it's, usually if it's a little better than housing or some kind of maybe elderly or something, whatever it could be, but if it's filling a gap or a need in the community, then that is weighted within the scoring criteria that we need.
Good. And for your, maybe the other thing that I'm looking at is the deadline of October 4th, was it?
Yes.
Is that enough time?
I hope so. I was kind of thinking that what we would do is since September 1st seems to be really a busy time for families and business people, just everything getting back from the summer cycle into the fall. There is kind of a call to action with this grant, and the fact that if other communities get their grant applications in prior to ours, and they're awarded, there may potentially be no funds left for our project. And so there is a little bit of a swing. Could we submit on November 1st and be okay potentially? But I'm thinking that us giving a timeline, and if there is some projects that come, maybe we can take a look at that for either next year or how that would fit together.
And if these are
But-
shovel-ready projects, they should be
We're
ready to
pretty
submit.
well ready this time.
Yeah.
And if they miss this round, then there's hopefully next year that we'd be able to look at them and help support them along the process.
Sure.
So we're thinking that we want to give some time, so we thought a little bit of August, all of September, a little bit of October, so it's really almost less than 2 months. And it's roughly a little bit of August and October, and then bring that back to there's 1 week for internal review from our staff, to make a recommendation to bring to this committee to be able to bring it forward. So we thought kind of timeline that would give us October. If it's too close into November, December, there's chances that awards will be made within other communities that would be awarded. It's not competitive, but it is competitive all at the same time. Everybody's trying to find a balance. Good question.
I would move to approve as submitted.
Seconded by Kellis, moved by Johnson. Any further discussion? How do we do this now? Should we vote on here?
Yep, you should get something that pops up.
Oh, there we go.
John, you might not, for some reason, your name is not on my book. How do you vote?
Yes.
It hasn't popped up for me yet either.
The system crashed earlier today, so
Uh-oh.
we might have a few issues. How do you vote, Pam?
Oh, I did. Is there?
I didn't.
Oh.
Did I miss something?
No, it just hasn't popped
It
up
didn't
yet.
pop up.
Oh.
It should say yes
Yeah.
or something.
It would pop up as a separate box.
If it hasn't popped up, it probably won't.
Okay.
How do you
Do a
vote?
voice vote?
Yes.
Motion has been approved unanimously.
Very good.
Thank you.
Next item under regular business, election of vice chair for the Economic Development Authority due to a vacancy. I don't know how formal, who's interested? I don't know how formal you want to do
So
it.
I think
or-
Robert's rules, you have to ask 3 times for nominations.
Okay.
Who was the vice chair?
Mike Worley.
He's stepping down.
He's actually moving eventually, he's
Yep.
going up into the
Make
UP.
it
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, I guess we're open for nominations. Pam, I guess you're kind of the senior member here now.
That's funny.
We'll get out of the way for you, Pam.
What are the duties? Is that expecting
When
to
the
take over the?
chairman's not here, basically run the meeting for the most
Mhm.
part. So,
Is it expected that that person then moves to chair once that chair resigns?
No. No election.
yeah, you could, yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
think it's
Could, or you
over.
could stay vice chair.
Pam.
Yep.
Do we need a formal nomination? I would nominate Pam.
I feel like I'm gonna see all
Do you
that.
accept the
That's
nomination?
what seniority gets you.
Sure. Yes.
Do we have to do, I nominate Pam Parrish.
I'll second.
I also
It's unanimous.
I think the 3 times is
Yeah.
calling for nominations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations?
No.
You have to do that.
Are there any other nominations? There being none?
We can do a voice vote.
Okay. I guess all in favor of having Pam Parrish as the, what is she, the vice chair of the Economic Development Authority, say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations. That was easy.
That means you have to be here every time.
Maybe. Okay, informational, update on the Brownfields program.
Okay, I have a shorter presentation this time. Since we just kind of went over the whole program at the last meeting, I'll just give you the update since that meeting. We've got about 95% of our total $300,000 EPA assessment grant spent. So we've only got about 5% left. That's about $14,000 remaining. Let's see, yeah, we spent about $5,000 since our last report. Nothing's really changed. We've got 14 sites still assessed, that's not changed. 9 sites have confirmed redevelopments, and that redevelopment is expected to leverage a little over 68 million. So all pretty much the same. The $5,000 that we spent since the last report has pretty much been on remedial action planning and reuse planning for the shipyard site. I don't think these images were available at our last meeting, so we've got some new pretty pictures to share.
Yeah.
This is what that $5,000 has been spent on, pretty much. The planning for this site and helping generate some additional concept images. So this is the latest and greatest. So we've obviously got the Shipyard Park component of the project to the south, the breakthrough private development on the north end on the right. Yeah, this is just released last month. There's another one of the container park. It's still pretty conceptual right now, but this is generally what we'd hope to see. Colors might be different, the overall look might be different, kind of the vision. We anticipate having a beer garden as primary use there. Urban beach. This is just a slide that our consultants made up for the programming, how the space could be used in the winter. All sorts of great ideas. Winter markets, sledding, ice skating in the cove, sculptures, snow sculptures, hot chocolate, all sorts of good stuff.
Is there a warming shelter?
Yep, warming shelters. So yeah, this is definitely a site we anticipate seeing active year-round. So moving forward, so all those dots, those are sites that we've assessed with this current grant. 14 in all, 7 of those have been at the shipyard area. 14,000 remaining, which is okay, because we just found out recently we were awarded another $300,000 by EPA to keep the program going. So our target areas will continue to be Broadway, Velp, and University Avenue. Those were the target areas for the current grants. As you see, most of it has pretty much been in the Broadway area. We typically spend these funds in areas that there's a development proposed. And so we haven't seen as much activity yet on Velp and University. We're going to continue to try to help facilitate that, but yeah, right now we're just focusing on those areas. So that $300,000 should carry us from 2019 to 2021. If we spend it as quickly as we did this last one, it'll take us till 2020, and by that time we can apply for another grant, hopefully. Some other news since our last meeting. We were also awarded $500,000 for the cleanup of the shipyard site through EPA. And then an additional $500,000 through WEDC for cleanup of the breakthrough site on the north there. And we're still waiting to hear back on an additional $500,000 from WEDC on cleanup of the shipyard site. So these are the funds that we're going to take and actually put into remediation of these sites. So we've got a lot more work to do.
When do you expect to hear from WDC?
Hopefully any day.
How far will the, for the WEDC grant, the 500,000, I mean, how far will that go? I mean, how much is needed, I guess?
Yep, I think with if we were to get all 3 awarded, that should carry pretty much all the remediation.
Really?
A lot of the WDC grants are also put towards infrastructure, actually. So with the one that's already been awarded, we're putting some of those funds towards the reconstruction of Arndt and Pearl Streets. With the one that has not yet been awarded, that's pretty much all towards remediation of the shipyard site. Had a lot of infrastructure there. But yeah, that should really carry us for the most part with remediation costs, which is excellent. That way we can put our local city dollars towards some of the more interesting things like container parks and urban beaches
Yeah,
and those
right.
sorts of things.
Very good.
Yep, so that's pretty much the update. Like I said, not a lot to share, but it's all good stuff.
All good news. Director's report.
Thanks. As you can see, Matt's been busy, making $1 million for the city, so appreciate that. Doing the Brownfields work, which has been very successful in terms of leveraging additional investment, really just gets the ball rolling on different projects in the city. Just update on a few activities within our department. I think we last met in June. At that time, we'd done, Wendy had led a business walk of the community, and basically with that, it compiled the results and really kind of has now a good retail recruitment strategy. That really helps us as a team focus as a city when we're working with the business improvement districts, or just overall, what's missing in the city, or what are some of the targets that we should go after in terms of recruitment to the city. So that is really going to help us kind of focus our efforts on what we're doing. Also, Matt has been working on a pop-up facilitation program. We've got Better Block. If you haven't been, go. It's going to be awesome in September. But it's a program really to do these pop-up events and just getting our arms around a kind of standard practice here of how we can do this more easily and just kind of get the system working together through special events and just internal things that we need to coordinate when we're doing these here in the community. With that, into the fall, we'll continue to work on pushing some of our development sites. With development, I know Dave Buck is not here, but we continue to work on the I-43 expansion. We got the results of the wetland study in. It's all right, right? It's what you expect. There's definitely some wet area out there, but definitely still ample room to potentially expand the business park. And so we've just been going through those results and having some discussions about how we want to proceed. Both in terms of expanding the future land use and then applying the zoning, how we might want to modify the planned unit development that's out there in terms of what properties we want to encompass in that park, which then can frame the discussion for another tax increment district out there. I think it's been very true when we have industrial customers. They are looking to go out in I-43. Which kind of segues to my next part. We are going to be starting the process to shut down the tax increment district for University Heights. Just going through Finance Director Ellenbecker and I, talking about their development team. That is one that, timing probably couldn't have been tougher in terms of created probably at the peak of the early 2000s economy and just right after that, never really picked up and recovered. And so we're going to look at a process to close that one down. Hopefully, if our joint review board approves, we'll look at some allocations from some of our other tax increment districts. But really just to kind of put that one to bed. Not to say it couldn't be revived in the future, when we have some development opportunities out there, but just, despite, our team bringing prospects out there, nobody's been able to bite. Perception, thinking it's further out there than it really is. We want to be in I-43, and so we're going to focus some of our efforts. So we will look at the process of closing that down in our GARB cycle, which is going to be coming up in the next few weeks. And we'll look at also then probably winding down to 12 a little bit early. Obviously been very successful in the I-43 development, and just kind of look at completing some additional projects out there, using funds in that account to finish out a lot of the infrastructure needs, the streets, sewers, water, just really to kind of set the expansion up for success and really use funds we have available instead of borrowing off of the new tax increment district. So those proposals will be going through our joint review board. They meet next Monday. There's a public hearing on it next Tuesday, and then it goes to our council in September. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. So that's pretty much an update from our department. I don't know if the chair wanted to provide an update on anything that he was up to.
Sure. I talked to Kevin just before the meeting. This will be my last meeting as chair of the EDA. That's why, I was looking for all that leadership, Pam, so.
New election.
Well, it's interesting, Mike and I have been on this committee for 25, 30 years. I think it's been a long
Thank you for
time.
that.
So I appreciate it. And I was thinking, I experienced 2 mayors, which should say how long those mayors were involved, and at least 4 economic development directors, which was always really interesting, and, get different viewpoints and things like that. But, yeah, a lot of the work was all I-43. My predecessor, John Steinbrecher, and I think way back when Jim Schleiss kind of got that going. And then I got in here we probably developed maybe half to 3/4 of that back in the day. Basically reviewing all the proposals and the projects and making sure, the covenants were met and things like that. So it's been exciting, but new life, new chapter. We're going to be relocating to near my daughter, where I will be a grandfather next month. So my wife heard that, she says, we're moving. So, I don't know how those women work like that, but she said, we're moving, so anyway. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, but time for the next chapter, so good for you. So yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, okay. I wanted to talk to the mayor.
There we go.
Talk to you.
everybody.
Yeah, good. Well, we're just about done.
Okay.
So,
Quick meeting.
yeah. And you don't know this either, but this is my last meeting.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I hope it's nothing I did.
Yeah, no. In fact, yeah, I was kind of, excited to, work with you in the future. But no, we're relocating to get close to my daughter and my granddaughter. That's
Oh,
going to be
nice.
coming around in September.
Congratulations.
So yeah, it's been mixed emotions, but a new chapter and time for some new blood here anyway. So.
We're gonna miss you. How many years was it?
I think it's got to be at least 30, close to 30.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Well, between Mike and I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
Yeah.
we were on here a long time.
No kidding.
No, 3 mayors.
Right.
With 3 mayors.
Right.
And probably 4 or 5 economic development directors.
Sure.
So, which was always exciting
Oh,
too,
man.
different ideas and things like that.
Well,
So-
thanks for all your years
So
of
I
service.
appreciate it. It's been fun and.
You've done a great job.
I know, now's the time to move on and, like I say, new horizons and very exciting, very challenging, very hectic.
Right. So where are you relocating to?
Minnesota.
Okay.
Minnesota, or Minneapolis area.
Yeah.
Probably one of the suburbs. We're looking around right now. In fact, we were talking before the meeting, housing, oh my gosh, we looked at housing, to buy, but we thought, well, we're not quite ready to do that. So now we're looking at renting for part-time.
Okay.
Can't find anything to rent.
Really?
I mean, well, unless you want some high-density apartment building, which
Sure.
we're not quite interested
Not for
in.
that.
But, so anyway, those are challenges we're gonna be dealing with here
Man,
shortly.
well, best of luck with all
Otherwise,
that.
I'll tell my daughter, well, you do have an extra bedroom, so.
She'll find a place for you.
Yeah, she'll find a place quick, exactly, so anyway, yeah, it'll be fun, but, and, I've gotten that question, so are you gonna be a Vikings fan? Are you kidding me? No way.
No
In
chance.
fact, hopefully some of this is off the record, but anyway, she was, my daughter's a big Packer fan, and her husband is a Vikings fan, of course. And she says, oh, Dad, she says, now, maybe you can go with me on Sundays to some of the Packer bars when the Packers are playing. I said, not a problem. So anyway, yeah, it'll be fun.
Well, best of luck with all that.
I appreciate it,
Thanks
and
again.
best of luck to you, Eric.
Thank you.
I've been meaning to talk to you and congratulate you, and so far, everything's great, and keep up the good work.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate that.
All right, date of next meeting, September 9th. And with that, take a motion to adjourn.
Is there a motion to move to adjourn?
Why don't you make
Yeah,
a
you
motion?
should.
I'll move that. I'll move
Yes.
that we adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Pewitt. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. And good luck to all.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, Pam, good luck. You'll do a good job.